Hello and welcome back, my name's Sullosian and this is a new episode in Skywanderers. So with the addition of shields, we've had quite a bit of talk overall with what can you do with them, how can they be used, and just sort of ideas for testing out doing different things with them. So I think it's sort of a bit of an issue. I sort of mentioned it in my last episode that I think it could be a problem with people just placing, like, I'm going to call it bubble wrapping their ship. I think that's the best term for it, is that they could have eventually just put child entities over a lot of their ship and put shield units on those child entities like so, and creating sort of bubble in different sections and segments of their ship. So in some cases this is really good, because if you're a fan of say Star Trek like me, then you might remember from some episodes that the captain will say power to the forward shields or something, and then all the power on the, say, the front of the ship will get diverted to the shielding of the front of the ship. That leaves the rest of their ship open to attack a lot more than the front of their ship. Same with Stargate, that sort of thing happens, but I decided to sort of experiment with it just sort of briefly. I placed one shield block, I placed all these blue blocks here, if you can see them, so we got one just here, one over there, one here just in the front here, and then one just down there, and then also one all the way back there, back where the shielding is actually placed. So the idea is that I could eventually have different segments of shielding over the entire ship, which does sort of a power to forward shields, and you could protect the entire front part of your ship. So I can be sitting in my command chair in the bridge here, I can tell someone at the shielding station back there and tell them to boost the power or direct all power to their forward bridge shields, we could say. Just because, let's say the hangars are destroyed and the only thing we've got left is the shield towers, protected by their own shields, the engines and our bridge. And with most of the crew on the bridge operating the ship, you kind of want to get the bridge and the whole ship out of there safely. So I can tell them to put power into the shields, which I've discovered that you can actually do. You can activate and deactivate shields in groups and by themselves individually. So that could open up the options for a bit of roleplay elements and overall directing what could be limited power in situations to shielding certain sections of the ship. So some people might want to put these sort of things over their entire ship, setting sort of boundaries across, say, the bridge, and then I can have a separate boundary for the missile bays here, and then the forward bridge, and then the bridge back here, and this entire section wing of hangar, and then the drone tube here. I could put shields on everything if I wanted to, but I feel like that would be slightly wasteful and ruin the experience of the game. That's just me personally, but other people would be those shield ships sort of people, wanting to protect their entire ship with bubble wraps of shield. So to enable and disable these shields, it's pretty easy. We'll just grab a screen so you can actually see. We've got this here, we've got a switch. So we'll just link up this screen here to these two shields here. So each one is worth 100, but each capacitor is worth 4 times the value of a single shield block. So that's just good to know, but we'll just grab a switch here, and if you attach the switch to the shield block cluster and you enable, you'll get the sort of visual just so you can see where it is. That's a bit weird, infinity heat, infinity energy, but if you disable the shields, then you can see that it's no longer generating any heat, using any energy, regen time is none, and the capacity is none, because you can in fact disable your shields. I actually didn't realize this initially in my first video, because the video was recorded basically straight after the shield blocks were released, but it is good to know that you can in fact disable and enable shields. So I've actually just disabled those permanently there, but you get the idea, hopefully. Just place that back like so. So that's just sort of a idea of what you could do with bubble wrapping a single section of the ship like the bridge. Also, just for any the viewers not here for the shielding sort of information, this sort of area, I'm thinking this will be auxiliary power for the ship, this circle just here, and you'll have to enter it from the outside of the ship, and there will be entrances from the inside of the ship, but it will be overall more logical to come from the outside of the ship and open up the auxiliary power unit for any repairs needed. But you'll sort of get to see more of that when I get to actually building more of it. So this one here is actually labelled V as well for VTOL entry / exit, so I'm thinking there will be another bigger hangar just here connected to these other hangars. But what we'll do now is we'll go down into the shield rooms, which I've now worked on a little bit more. So on this underlayer here, we've got a sort of Star Wars styled control room here for the shields. You'll have the circuitry for enabling, disabling different clusters of shields, and sort of bringing down the shield power from like 100% to 50% to save shield energy and all that sort of stuff. The idea is that you would come down here for maintenance and sort of stuff. But I've fixed all the lighting in the walls here, so it is still relatively dark, but it is actually, you know, not blinding now, so that's good. Basically, we've got the shield tower here, which I've just put a little bit of a ring around down the bottom, but we can in fact enable and disable these. At the moment there's an issue. I'm not sure if it's an issue or if it's actually meant to be that way, but if you hook up a switch to, say, this middle section here, it will enable and disable only the middle, but if it tries going through a capacitor, then it won't disable or enable anything on the other side of the capacitor. So you'd have to hook up a switch to every single shield block here, and I have several hundred. So I'm not going to do that. I've made a report on GitHub to see if sooner the developer can actually fix this, so that way you can actually just enable or disable one shield block, and anything on the other side of the capacitors also gets enabled / disabled. So that's just sort of a bit of update for you guys. But as you can see there, regen is 11.3 seconds, but I can bring down the ship energy to 44% of shields, or it can go all the way up to 59% by the looks of it. So that's sort of an idea of how the shielding towers work. Okay, a few other ideas that we could experiment with is, apart from that one up there with the bridge, what could be done is similar with the hangar bay doors. So we saw that in the last episode. I just sort of quickly made a hangar bay door, but it is possible that the game will have added the actual hangar bay sort of ionized shielding, I guess you can call it. So that may not be relevant for the moment, but it is possible to do, as you saw. So coming back in, I actually just had a comment on the other video about 12 hours ago or something, and I just wanted to get that info out there just in case anyone else had a similar question. Basically, I was asked, is it possible to have a ring-shaped structure like so, and have a shield and energy block on it, and actually create a sort of ring-based shield? And if you could eventually, if this does work, have it go around an entire sort of planet. It is possible to do, I know that much, but I'm pretty sure at that size it would start getting a little bit ridiculous. So as you can see here, just by having this sort of ring shaped here, it creates a ring shaped shield just like that. It would be as thin as this ring is as well. We'll just bring that back up. As you can see here, it's not very thick, but it is quite wide, so it would be possible to eventually have this around an entire planet, but you'd have to build some form of outline for it first. You'd have to build out just how far and how wide the planet is, etc. Like so. And then you could also go downwards. Like so. There's another shield unit. As you can see here, so long as you've got, it's a bit glitchy just there, But so long as you've got the actual like block, one at each sort of one of 4 points sort of thing, then you could potentially make it go around an entire planet if you really want to do. I feel like the game wouldn't really handle that very well, but it's the question I got asked, and I figured I'd just answer that for him. And just in case it brings up any more questions you guys have regarding shields. So we'll just get rid of that, just as an example. So I just thought I'd undock the Destroyer Class ship here and just see what it looked like with shields on it. So this is the first time I've undocked it, because I sort of had to dock it up here in order to build around it, and in order to figure out the sort of shape that needs to be used in order to get everything right, just like that. Actually, it looks like I bumped the entire capital ship somehow there, and now all the other ships are sort of slowly floating through it. But we'll just sort of get this going. We'll move forward just a little bit, and then we'll have a look at further expanding, putting shields on other things like individual weapons. Alrighty, so we've just undocked this, and we'll just see what can really happen if we put shields on individual weapons like this. So what would be possible is you could actually hide just a single shield block even underneath each weapon on the rotator that's beneath the deck, and that would protect each weapon with its own sort of bubble. That would help defend against accidental friendly fire from a weapon. Let's just say I've got this guy shooting from here and then another guy shooting from that turret. If this guy accidentally swings down and starts shooting these turrets, there is a chance, however unlikely, that he could actually stop the weapon from firing and continuing to damage our own weapons. That's only with a single shield block though, so the idea is that you'd be able to put just even a single shield block on each weapon in order to defend it just a little bit from fighters coming in for an attack on all the weapons. Because if you think about it, a single fighter coming along here, they could just wreak havoc on all of these weapons. Each bullet could potentially take out one of these turret blocks on the front here, and then eventually make each turret very useless. So by having a shield block on them, that could be quite beneficial. Furthermore, on perhaps even a weapon like this main weapon here, it's broken into two different entities, or actually about 4 or 5, each barrel and then the main weapon. Like so, there's a few different entities going on there, so that one might be a little bit difficult to shield, but I haven't actually shielded the Destroyer Class ship yet, so I'd like to see what it looks like with a shield around the whole thing. So it looks like the hangar bays for some reason aren't being included, which is odd considering the hangar bays aren't actually child entities, they're actually part of the ship. I built the ship entirely just block structure with barely any hinges or anything like that. So it's odd to see that it's not working like that. So perhaps there is a few bugs still with the shielding system, but we'll have to just see how that goes. But I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of a rundown with how shields are working, what things are like, and why the ship is floating away. But if you have any more questions, I'd love to hear them. I'd like to be able to try and answer them as best as I can, just as I have tried to answer the bubble wrap sort of theory that I think will go under with the addition of shielding on child entities. I feel like it could be potentially quite a big problem, so we'll just have to see how that goes. And if you have any ideas, just be sure to let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.